Desce daí agora, mulher, em nome de Jesus, vai.
En Rochester, New York, durante semanas, la monja de la cama había permanecido 2004 dentro del convento St. Margaret's en Filadelfia, Pensilvania.
Time's up. The things the Bible warned about 2,000 years ago aren't just words on a page anymore. They're happening right in front of us, caught on high-definition cameras with dates, places, and living witnesses standing right there. The 7 videos below aren't scare tactics. They're not made-up stories, and they're definitely not Hollywood special effects. They're signs that the gates of hell have swung wide open. And the scariest part? These things aren't hiding anymore. They're showing up right inside churches, inside hospitals, inside families, openly mocking Jesus, daring the Archangel Michael, spitting on the cross, and announcing that the Antichrist has arrived and is taking over. This isn't a prophecy anymore. This is the battlefield, and you're standing right in the middle of it. But you're one of the lucky ones who get to hear this message. If you watch all the way to the end, you'll find out exactly how to protect yourself and your family from the darkness closing in, simple, specific things the Lord Himself taught us so the devil won't even dare come near. Right now, let's look straight at 7 terrifying events. 7 times the demons have shown their faces that prove the last days are a lot closer than most folks think. 1. The girl who climbed the cross backwards. Nobody in that little church in Jacksonville that night had any idea what had really walked in with the skinny 19-year-old girl. Everything started out normal. A simple revival service, a couple dozen folks, soft yellow lights, someone picking a guitar in the corner. But just a few seconds after the pastor opened his Bible, the whole room felt like it got ripped open by something that didn't belong on this earth. The girl who'd been sitting there, quiet, head down, a little nervous because it was her first time in church, suddenly shot straight up like somebody yanked a string inside her. Her face turned pitch black in the blink of an eye, like thick smoke straight out of hell rolled up and covered every inch of her skin. Her mouth stretched so wide you'd think her cheeks would split, and out came this long, black tongue that shook like crazy. The worst part was her eyes. No whites left, just 2 deep black holes that went on forever. The pastor had barely gotten halfway through "For God so loved the world" when she hit the floor, but she didn't fall like a person. She landed on all 4s, twisted her head at a sick angle, and started crawling across the floor fast as a hunting animal. People screamed, people ran for the doors, but she didn't care. Whatever was driving that body had only one thing on its mind. Like an arrow, it shot straight toward the big wooden cross up front, about 13 feet tall. Then came the moment that froze everybody cold. She climbed that cross upside down, jerking and twitching, but so quick the eye could barely keep up. Her hands and feet stuck to the wood like a spider on a wall. When she reached the top, her body stopped, but her head slowly turned a full 180, bones cracking loud enough to make you sick, and she stared straight down at the congregation. That smile wasn't human. It was pure mockery. A slap in the face to the very symbol of salvation. Then it let out a roar in a deep, grown man voice. This wasn't just a demon showing up. This was open blasphemy, a declaration of war aimed right at heaven. The Bible warned us plain as day. Hebrews 6:6. They crucify the Son of God all over again and hold Him up to public shame. And that night in Jacksonville, the warning came alive, raw, fierce, and impossible to deny. No question about it, the Antichrist was laughing his head off. And this is only the first video of 7 warnings headed our way. The deeper you go, the scarier it gets. A whole lot scarier. 2. The girl floating in midair. Michigan, 2021. A hospital room so quiet, you could barely hear the clock tick. A 22-year-old girl had been in a deep coma for 3 straight months. Doctors and all their fancy machines couldn't do a thing for her. Nobody expected that the moment the priest stepped through the door, some kind of gate between the living world and pure darkness would swing wide open. All of a sudden, her eyes snapped open, pitch black, No whites at all, just two bottomless holes that seemed to swallow every bit of light in the room. She kept rubbing her face hard, like she was trying to wipe off blood nobody could see. Then she stood up. That's when the really strange stuff started. Her feet never touched the floor. She hovered a good 2 or 3 feet above it, her hair floating straight up toward the ceiling, her whole body jerking in little pulses like something invisible was pulling the strings. The air around her felt thick and stretchy. Sounds echoed funny, and the room filled with this heavy, almost physical dread. She didn't look human anymore. This was exactly what St. Paul warned about in Ephesians 2:2. The prince of the power of the air, the one that now worketh in the children of disobedience. The girl wasn't just possessed. Whatever was inside her was showing off its power, right in a place everyone thought God was keeping safe. The shaking, the way she'd suddenly lift higher, the unnatural movements, it left everybody frozen, hearts pounding, too scared to even breathe right. It broke every rule of physics and everything people thought they knew. No fear, no holding back. The demon was openly flexing its muscle in that very room where folks figured they were protected. What happened wasn't just some random scary moment. It felt like a loud warning that the powers of darkness are moving around freer than ever. Everyone in the room just stood there, eyes wide, feeling like their own breath was getting sucked into nothing. And while the priest stood there, something from the spirit world reached right into the real one and left a mark nobody in that room will ever forget. The Antichrist spirit is stepping out in the open now. No more hiding, and its power is showing up even in places we thought belonged to God. Can you feel how bold and arrogant they've gotten? 3. A nun challenges the Archangel Michael. Rochester, New York, 87. A 38-year-old nun was sitting in the convent reading some old papers about Satan when all of a sudden the whole room started shaking like a bolt of supernatural electricity shot right through it. In the blink of an eye, she changed. Her face went dead white. Her mouth opened wide and pitch black. Her eyes turned into nothing but deep black holes that looked like they could suck your soul straight into nowhere. Every normal little movement she had was gone. Instead, her body jerked around. She bent backward into a perfect bridge. Her back arched so high it was like invisible hands were lifting her right off the floor. Then the screaming started. It wasn't a human voice anymore. It sounded like hundreds of demons yelling all at once, low and gravelly and echoing off every wall. That young sister kept spitting out the filthiest curses, mocking God and especially cursing the Archangel Michael. Every word, every shake, felt like it was ripping the air apart. Anyone who saw it felt their heart pounding out of rhythm and their whole body trembling without being able to stop. This wasn't just any ordinary possession. This was the first time in modern history that a demon flat out dared to challenge the Archangel Michael face to face. Like the war in heaven was spilling right down onto earth. You could feel the tremendous power controlling that nun's body, and it wasn't even trying to hide. It was a straight-up declaration of war against heaven itself. Would you believe this video is real? When everything that happened was caught on tape, so clear that nobody who watches can deny it? The darkness isn't hiding anymore? This is exactly the kind of power the Bible warned us about. Revelation 12:7 says it plain as day. And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon. That war isn't only up in heaven now. It's come down here to earth. With the Antichrist himself running the show, out in the open, no mask. Every move she made, every sound, every look in those eyes carried the same message. Evil is openly defying God now. Nobody dared get close. Nobody could stop it unless they were ready. This is a living wake-up call that the Antichrist's campaign has started, and the signs are only going to get worse in the next videos. Anyone still doubting just has to see it with their own eyes. 4. The girl was lifted into the air right in front of the stunned priest. A young girl, only 17, lived in a quiet suburb of Flint, Michigan, where the empty streets and dim streetlights made every little sound echo in a creepy way. She had been lying in a coma in a local hospital room for 3 months, and the doctors were completely stumped. They couldn't figure out what was wrong with her. The moment the priest walked into the room, the air changed. It got heavy, thick, almost like you could feel something invisible pressing down on everything. Does that make your heart beat a little faster? This isn't some old legend. This really happened. The priest started the prayers of exorcism, and suddenly the girl began thrashing like crazy. Her hands crushed the metal bed rail. Her mouth opened wide and black. Her eyes bulged out. Her whole body shook like it was about to tear itself apart. Then, both she and the bed, over 220 pounds, rose up into the air, floating chest-high to the priest for a full 8 seconds, held there by some unseen force. Can you even imagine standing there watching that? Anyone who saw it would get chills down their spine. The screams and the way her body jerked weren't human anymore. They were pure evil coming out. Jesus himself cast out demons, and they had to obey him. Mark 1:27. Everyone was amazed, so much that they asked each other, "What is this? A new teaching with authority. He even gives orders to evil spirits, and they obey him." But this time the demons didn't back down. They defied him openly, floating right in front of a priest. This wasn't just a regular possession. It was a sign that the man of lawlessness has been let loose. Just like it says in 2 Thessalonians 2:7, the power that holds him back is being taken out of the way, and then the lawless one will be revealed. Evil was showing its strength out in the open, daring to challenge the authority God gave his people. It's a warning. The darkness is closer now, and you and I are standing on a very thin line between safety and danger. This is one of the clearest signs we've ever seen that the Antichrist and his forces aren't afraid anymore. They're showing their power openly, right in places God used to protect. Anyone who shrugs this off may end up seeing that power with their own eyes. 5. The young nun and the scream straight out of hell. A young nun, 25 years old, was cleaning the chapel in a convent on the outskirts of Boston, Massachusetts. The faint light coming through the windows threw long shadows across the floor. All of a sudden, she grabbed her stomach and let out a scream that was pure terror. The sound was deep, hoarse, like something coming up from hell itself, all trapped inside one body. You could feel the fear hit the room like a wave, couldn't you? She fell back onto the bed and arched her body in a way that didn't look human. Only her shoulders and heels touched the mattress. Her back lifted almost 3 feet off it, like invisible hands were holding her up from underneath. Every move she made jerked and twitched. The growls that came out of her weren't a person's voice anymore. The air got thick and heavy. Every breath seemed to take forever. In the dim light, her eyes looked pitch black, and it felt like darkness was swallowing the whole room. The screaming never stopped. You knew right away this time the demon wasn't planning to leave. This was the clear sign that the legion of darkness had been let loose and was daring to challenge God himself. Just like Mark 9:20 says, the evil spirit threw the boy down, cried out loud, and came out. Only this time the thing refused to go. It stayed to pick a fight, to show its power right in front of everybody. This wasn't just some ordinary possession. This was the power of darkness showing off through the army of the Antichrist. Little things stuck in your mind, her habit flapping around, the window light glinting off those solid black eyes, every twist of her body coming fast and violent. Anyone who saw it felt like the final battle between light and darkness was happening right there in that room. The warning in 2 Thessalonians 2-7 came alive. The Holy Spirit is being taken out of the way, and when the time comes, the lawless one will be revealed. The Antichrist is stepping out into the open now, and his legion is throwing down the gauntlet against every holy power. Nobody who saw it could look away, and one thing was for sure: the darkness had never felt this strong before. 6. Demon running wild inside the church on Christmas night itself. In Sioux Falls, South Dakota, on Christmas night back in '93, a 41-year-old nun who'd been around the convent a long time was getting ready white for midnight mass when she suddenly felt wiped out. She went back to her room, face pale as a ghost, but her eyes looked wrong, real dark and strange. Just a couple minutes later, she told somebody to go get the priest, said she needed to talk to him. Folks couldn't figure out why her voice sounded so cold all of a sudden, flat, like the life had gone clean out of it. When the priest walked in, he knew right away something was bad wrong. Her face was blank. She had this tiny little smile, like the corners of her mouth barely turned up, but it scared you to look at it. And everything she said came out mocking, hateful. The air in that little room got thick, like something heavy was breathing right behind you. You feel that sudden change, don't you? The priest tried to stay calm. He started backing toward the door to go get help. But the second he turned, that nun slid off the bed and moved so fast it wasn't human. Nothing like the worn-out woman from 5 minutes earlier. That's when things went way past normal. She grabbed the priest by the throat, one hand, and lifted him clean off the floor. The man weighed around 185, maybe more, and she held him up like he was a little kid's toy. Her eyes were hollow, black, nothing left of the gentle sister anybody knew, just 2 holes staring straight into your soul. From that moment on, everybody understood. This wasn't tiredness, wasn't a breakdown. This was something else taking over, something dark that picked Christmas night on purpose to turn everything holy upside down and spit in the face of the one it hates most. Second big sign for you? You catch what it was trying to say? The Bible already warned us about times like this. Revelation 13:2 talks about the dragon giving his power to the beast and people worshiping it. Those words aren't just some fuzzy picture. They were happening for real in that little convent room in Sioux Falls. A nun turned into a doorway for darkness to show off what it could do. And that Christmas night stopped being about celebrating the Savior's birth. It turned into the night the devil claimed the place as his own. 7. Little girl, controlled by demons. In a small village in Iraq, an 11-year-old girl suddenly became the center of something nobody could explain. One minute she was still her sweet, innocent self, running around and playing like always. The next minute she'd be sitting alone in a corner, silent and sullen, her long hair hanging down over her face. Every now and then she'd let out strange sounds in ancient Aramaic, words that sounded like they came straight out of 20 centuries ago. Nobody had any idea what was going to happen next. Then, out of nowhere, she grabbed a stick and started swinging it at her friends, turning the whole place into chaos and scaring everyone in the village half to death. The way her body moved and the look in her eyes just wasn't human anymore. Those eyes were sunken and empty, like something else was pulling the strings. When the priest finally came to try to cast the demon out, the air in the room got thick and heavy, almost like you could feel the evil pressing down. The worst moment came when the little girl shot straight up to the ceiling, her head touching the roof, her feet dangling, her body twisting into shapes no person should ever bend. A cold chill ran through everybody there. No question about it anymore. This was Legion, the swarm of demons the Bible talks about, a power no human can control. The Bible warned us long ago, in Mark 5:9, "My name is Legion, for we are many." Those words aren't just stories or symbols anymore. Legion is back, and this time they're not being driven into a herd of pigs. They're going after children, slipping into young, innocent souls and turning them into tools of darkness. This whole thing is a cold, hard reminder that the supernatural forces the Bible talked about aren't locked away in old books or fairy tales. They're real, they're here, and they're coming closer every day. This is the last wake-up call to see the danger and get ready before we all get pulled into the darkness that's already spreading right in front of us. Man, did that story give you the creeps or what? Looking back at these 7 terrifying events we just watched, one message stands out loud and clear through all the darkness and demonic screams. Humanity's time is running out fast, and the Antichrist is getting ready to step right in front of us. The signs aren't hiding anymore. From the cross being mocked to supernatural power grabbing hold of people's souls, everything lines up with the big warning the Bible gave us long ago. Right now, every clip, every strange thing we see is an urgent wake-up call, telling us to open our eyes and get ready for what's coming next. These 7 videos aren't just random cases of possession. They show something planned, something organized, a terrible test of our faith and courage. Like Ephesians 6:12 says, we're not fighting against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, and against spiritual wickedness in high places. These 7 events prove the battlefield isn't far away anymore. It's right here in our everyday lives, in places we used to think were safe. The power the demons are showing keeps getting scarier. Controlling bodies, floating in the air, reading thoughts, twisting the feelings of priests. It all points to a real supernatural force working on purpose. Like 2 Thessalonians 2-7 warns, the mystery of iniquity is already at work, only it's being held back until the right moment. Well, that moment has come. Evil has been let loose, stepping out of the shadows, ready to defy every rule God ever set. The devils aren't staying quiet with just a few scattered possessions anymore. They're openly mocking the cross, daring Jesus and Saint Michael the Archangel, bragging about their power and saying the Antichrist is almost here. It matches exactly what Revelation 13:1-2 talks about. A beast rising up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. These scenes prove the Antichrist is right at the door, and his coming isn't just some theory anymore. It's not only supernatural stuff. The demons hate the Bible, holy water, and the Rosary. They despise everything our faith has ever stood on. Every second you watch these videos is a wake-up call. We don't have much time left to get ready, to strengthen our faith, and to protect ourselves. Like Matthew 24:24 says, false Christs and false prophets will rise and show great signs and wonders to deceive, if possible, even the elect. What we're seeing today is living proof of that warning. Pay close attention to every detail, because the biggest message from these 7 events can't be ignored. The Antichrist is about to unleash his full power. Time is short, the battle is already raging all around us, and only the people who see what's really happening and get their hearts ready will be able to stand. This is the final reminder, from these shocking videos to the words of Scripture, that the last days are drawing near, and we have to act before it's too late. If you've made it this far, then you're the one meant to hear this message. An urgent reminder based on what we've just seen happening around us and straight from the Bible. What's going on out there isn't make-believe or some scary story anymore. Evil is trying hard to get into our lives. And the only thing that can really protect you and your family is doing what God Himself tells us to do. Right now, I'm going to share the 3 simple, powerful, proven things that will stop evil from getting in, straight from the Lord to you. First thing, keep your home full of prayer every single day. At least one person in the family needs to say a full 5-decade Ros 7 out loud every day. This isn't just an old habit. The Bible and the church both say the Rosary has real power that makes the devil back off. Like it says in Revelation 12:11, they conquered him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony. Prayer is a weapon. It puts up an invisible wall the devil can't cross. When your family prays the Rosary together, every room, every corner of the house gets protected in a miraculous way. Second thing, bless your home. This turns your house into a real spiritual fortress. The devil won't even come near. Get some blessed salt and holy water, and once a month sprinkle it in all 4 corners of the house. This isn't just a little ritual. It works. In Exodus 12:7, the people put lamb's blood on their doorposts, and God kept disaster away. The same thing happens when you bless your home. In fact, in 90% of exorcisms, a properly blessed house made a huge difference. Your home becomes a safe place the Antichrist and his demons can't touch. Third thing, close the 3 doors the devil always tries to use: fortune-telling, psychics, witchcraft. Never watch real horror movies, play with Ouija boards, or listen to music that carries curses. Those are the cracks he slips through. Matthew 7:15 warns us, beware of false prophets who come to you in sheep's clothing, but underneath are ravenous wolves. Every time you open one of those doors, you're giving him a way in and putting the whole family at risk. when you stay completely away, you slam every door shut and put up a shield nothing can get through. If you keep doing these three things faithfully, you build a holy defense system the devil has no way around. Daily rosary, monthly blessing of the home, and staying far away from those three dangerous doors. Those are the three pillars, the three shields that protect you and your loved ones from any supernatural attack. Every one of them comes right out of Scripture. This isn't superstition. It's proof of the power of faith and God's protection. Picture it. Every rosary you pray, every sprinkle of holy water, every time you say no to something forbidden, that's another layer of protection. Those layers don't just keep your body safe. They guard your soul, your faith, and the peace in your family. We're living in the last days, when the Antichrist and evil forces are already showing themselves, and keeping these practices going is a matter of life and death. This isn't some vague warning or theory. This is clear. Do it right now, direction, so you can turn your house and family into a completely safe place where every power of hell has to stop at the door you've made holy. Like John 10:27 says, "My sheep hear my voice. I know them, and they follow me." When you do what the Lord says, the devil can't touch you. Remember, these three things are simple but incredibly strong. 1 5-decade rosary every day. Bless the four corners with salt and holy water every month, and stay completely away from the three doors of the devil. You don't need fancy ceremonies or superpowers, just faith and sticking with it. You and your family will become a fortress nothing can break into. With the Antichrist about to show himself fully, this is the protection, the survival plan the Bible gives us, the way to stay safe for everyone God has chosen. You've seen it with your own eyes, the mocking of God, demons showing up right in front of you, daring God to do something. Every move, every look in their eyes was full of power that no human could ever explain. You've heard them with your own ears say the Antichrist is coming soon. Every word felt like it was cutting straight into your heart, reminding you that time is running out, and these signs right in front of us are serious warnings we can't ignore. You've seen it with your own eyes. The mocking of God, demons showing up right in front of you, daring God to do something. Every move, every look in their eyes was full of power that no human could ever explain. You've heard them with your own ears say the Antichrist is coming soon. Every word felt like it was cutting straight into your heart, reminding you that time is running out and these signs right in front of us are serious warnings we can't ignore. Now there are only two paths in front of you. One is to keep living like nothing happened, pretend it's all fake, that the videos, the things happening, the demonic signs are just stories from far away. But just think, if you choose to look the other way, one day soon it might be you or your child in the next video, living proof that the Antichrist is taking over the world. The other path is right now. Get on your knees before God, take your rosary in your hand, and say out loud, "Jesus, I trust in you." This isn't just some empty prayer. It's the voice of real faith, the choice between light and darkness, between God's power and the destruction of the Antichrist. Evil can only touch the people who have already turned their back on God, the ones who tie themselves to chaos and nothingness. When you choose God, you instantly draw an invisible line, a shield that protects not just you, but your whole family from anything supernatural trying to get in. Look back at the 7 things you just watched. Every time the demons mocked the cross, every time they challenged God and the angels, every time that unnatural power showed itself, it was all a warning that the Antichrist is closer than ever. You can feel the pressure, the urgency, like every second is testing your faith. But in that same pressure, God is giving you a chance to respond, to choose, to stand on the side of light before the darkness covers everything. Those 7 events are both a warning and a lesson about the power of faith. You saw what the rosary can do. You saw how a blessed house is protected. You saw the terrible things that happen when people ignore the rules. These signs remind us that nothing on this earth matters more than faith and a direct connection to God. When you pray, when you do what God asks, you're not just protecting yourself. You're sending a loud message to the devil that his power can't touch any place God is guarding. This is the moment when your choice matters more than ever. 1 minute of carelessness can open the door to darkness, but one act of faith can stop evil in its tracks. Remember how the Bible keeps telling us to keep praying and keep doing what God says. Like in John 1:5, the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. When you choose God, you become part of that light, a force the darkness can never break. Everything you've seen is clear proof that time is running out. The Antichrist has his eye on you, and every sign is screaming one thing. This is the deciding moment. Standing still isn't an option. Only action draws the line. Only action protects you, your family, and your soul. Turn these warnings into daily habits. Pray the Rosary. Have your home blessed. Stay far away from anything that opens a door to darkness. That's the only way to win and make it through these times. Now I want you to stop for a minute. Take a deep breath and look into your own heart. Let the scary things you just saw push you. Remind you that God's power is always there, but it only works when you really trust and act on it. Praying with a sincere heart, holding on to faith, and doing what we've talked about isn't just protection. It's your way of telling the Antichrist loud and clear that you don't belong to him, that you are a child of the light. Let the comments below be the place where you write your prayer, your thoughts about what you just saw, and the steps you're going to take to protect yourself and your family. Share your story, share your faith, so the light spreads and others wake up too, because time is short. Do you think God is watching all this arrogance? Let's answer that question together with our own actions. If this feels important to you, hit like, share it so this urgent message gets out, and subscribe so you don't miss the next warning or guidance. Every action you take is another layer of protection, another proof that light still beats darkness, that faith never fails when we hold on and live God's word. Choose Jesus right now, and let your actions be living proof of the power of light in a world full of darkness.
It's almost celebrating 250 years of establishment, and also in 2 years we will...
As far as I'm concerned, I think they are both at a level where they should get...
The Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman at the White House today for the first time since 2018.
On November 18th, 2025, at the White House, Donald Trump and Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman shook hands, both smiling big under the bright camera flashes from the press. They talked about oil, defense deals, and a more stable Middle East. But just moments later, when Trump announced the U.S. would sell F-35 jets to Saudi Arabia, every serious Bible prophecy watcher froze. Not because of the arms deal itself, but because it lined up in a chilling way with pieces that had been predicted for thousands of years. That handshake, which looked like normal diplomacy, felt like the final click of a lock snapping open. Alliances, nations, strategic moves, everything is sliding right into the places many generations thought could never happen. And starting with that handshake, shocking discoveries began coming to light one after another. An old covenant about to be confirmed, a war coalition quietly finishing up, peace slogans being shouted everywhere, a powerful leader unintentionally setting the stage for the next one, and warning signs all over the world flashing red at the same time. If you're watching this video, don't look away. Every detail we're about to cover ties into a much bigger picture. How are these discoveries connected? Why did the events of November 18th, 2025 make prophecy students around the world sit up straight? And most important, what does it all mean for your future? Stick with me to the end, because what you're about to hear isn't just information, it's a wake-up call. We're no longer waiting for prophecy to happen. We're living in the moment it starts rolling out. So come along with me. Let's look at the 5 earth-shaking discoveries that are coming into view right now. First discovery. The Abraham Accords are the exact covenant with many that Daniel 9:27 talked about. Just when you think that handshake on November 18, 2025 was nothing more than another political deal, Something in the air at the White House felt heavier than any bomb. It was like the quiet click of a machine waking up after sleeping for over 2,000 years. And the thing that flipped the switch was Trump saying he'd sell F-35 jets to Saudi Arabia. This doesn't just shift the balance in the Middle East. It lines up perfectly with an old prophecy that religious folks thought was still decades away. But now it's staring us right in the face. If you look close, what got turned on wasn't just an arms deal. It was a covenant. Not the regular kind people sign with each other, but the kind written down 2,600 years ago in a prophecy, where a powerful leader in the future will confirm a covenant that already exists, and that one move starts the final countdown. Daniel 9:27 says, "He will confirm a covenant with many for 1 week. In the middle of the week, he will put an end to sacrifice and offering." One verse, but it reads like today's newspaper in 2025. The key words are confirm or make strong. In the original Hebrew, that's not create or make a new one. It means take something that's already there and strengthen it, lock it in, make it official. So which modern covenant was already sitting there, waiting to be strengthened? Not Oslo, not a bunch of little separate deals. It's the Abraham Accords, the 2020 agreement, where Israel shook hands with several Muslim Arab countries at the same time, something nobody thought could ever happen. And it did. But that first version wasn't the full picture yet, because the UAE, Bahrain, Morocco, and Sudan, important as they are, they're still smaller players. The Accords were missing the big piece. Saudi Arabia, the country that holds Mecca and Medina, the heart of the Sunni Muslim world, and the loudest voice in the Arab world. Only when Saudi joins does it truly become a covenant with many. That's why the meeting on November 18, 2025 is so chilling. Middle East expert Karen Elliott House has said for years, Saudi will never join the Abraham Accords without a game-changing security guarantee. The day Trump put F-35 seconds on the table, that guarantee showed up. Every major paper said the same thing. This deal paves the way for Saudi Arabia to normalize with Israel and brings Riyadh into the Accords orbit. In plain English, the biggest piece just slid into place. Once Saudi Arabia steps in, the Middle East map changes forever. When that happens, the Abraham Accords won't just be strong, they'll become the foundation for a whole new stage where one powerful leader will step forward and confirm it with a fixed-term agreement. And the wild part? The whole political world is waiting for exactly that, without realizing they're walking straight into Bible prophecy. Put it all on the table. Israel wants peace so they can build a future. Saudi wants security against Iran. America wants more influence in the region. And the Abraham Accords, once seen as a nice breakthrough, have now become the platform for a bigger, stronger, binding agreement coming very soon. See how it all fits? History is sliding into the exact grooves that were described thousands of years ago. On November 18, 2025, with one sentence from Donald Trump, the heavens basically opened the gate. All that's missing now is the man who will walk in, sign a 7-year covenant, and the moment that signature dries, Daniel's 70-week clock officially starts ticking. The house is built. We're just waiting for the tenant to sign a 7-year lease. And when he does, Daniel's 70 weeks start running for real. Second discovery. The Gog and Magog coalition is forming perfectly, just like Ezekiel 38 and 39 said. No warning, no heads up, no guessing needed. In just the last few months, the map of the Middle East and Eurasia is moving exactly the way Ezekiel drew it over 2,600 years ago. And the scariest part? We're not just reading prophecy anymore, we're watching it play out in real time, step by step, country by country, roll by roll, without missing a beat. The Gog and Magog alliance, the one that will come down against Israel in the last days, is coming together right in front of the whole world like a giant machine that's already started and can't be stopped. We're not talking about something that might happen. We're standing in the middle of it's happening right now. Handshakes, military deals, secret meetings between regional leaders, Everything is lining up with Ezekiel 38 and 39 in a way that'll give you chills. And the biggest surprise, the ones who just stand back and asking questions without doing anything, are the very countries that just got the most powerful fighter jet on Earth, the F-35. It seems backwards, but it fits the prophecy perfectly. Look at the list in Ezekiel 38, verses 2 through 6, and a scary, clear political map jumps out. Magog, Meshech, Tubal, those ancient names, almost every Bible teacher today points straight to Russia and the old Soviet states, the country with the world's biggest nuclear stockpile, the one pushing back hard against the West, and the one calling the shots in every military move in the Middle East. It's not just a guess, it's fact. Russia is building the strongest anti-Israel alliance we've seen in over 30 years. Persia, that's Iran today, the nation that openly says it wants to wipe Israel off the map and funds Hamas, Hezbollah, and a bunch of proxy groups. No debate needed. This is the clearest piece of the whole prophecy, and it's 100% on track in 2025. Cush means Sudan and Ethiopia, two countries sitting right on the highway from Africa into the Middle East. Sudan just signed a bunch of new military deals with Russia. Ethiopia keeps letting Iranian advisors in, while everything inside the country is shaky, making it easy for them to get pulled into any alliance against Israel. Put is Libya and North Africa, places where Iran-friendly and Russia-friendly militias are spreading fast. Libya has pretty much become a strategic backyard. Dozens of cargo flights full of weapons heading to the Middle East were tracked in 2024 and 2025. Gomer and the House of Togarmah are Turkey and Armenia, two countries that seem like opposites, yet both are on Ezekiel's list. Turkey, under Erdogan, keeps moving away from the West, getting closer to Russia, and has the strongest anti-Israel voice in the region. Armenia, after all its troubles, now depends on Russia for security, tying the whole Gog-Magog line together tighter than ever. Sheba and Dedan are Saudi Arabia and the rich Gulf states, plus the merchants of Tarshish and all her young lions. Most teachers say that means the West, America, Britain, and Israel's big trading partners. But the key thing is what they do. They don't fight. They just speak up. They just ask questions and never send troops to defend Israel. The Bible doesn't just get the geography right. It doesn't just name every nation correctly. It even nails the attitude each country will have. Who attacks, who stays quiet, who only talks but never acts. It all fits too perfectly to be chance. Ezekiel 38, verses 2 through 6. Son of man, set your face against Gog, of the land of Magog, Persia, Cush, and put with them Gomer and all its troops, the house of Togarmah from the far north. Ezekiel 38, verse 13. Sheba and Dedan and the merchants of Tarshish and all her young lions will say to you, have you come to take plunder? And right now, every piece is in place. Russia, Iran, Turkey, Sudan, Libya, Armenia, the old Soviet states, an alliance forming exactly the way Ezekiel described. And Sheba and Dedan, Saudi Arabia, and the rich allies are doing exactly what the prophecy said, standing on the sidelines, asking questions, watching. Ezekiel didn't just name the countries that will attack Israel. He named the ones that will just stand there and watch. And that country is Saudi Arabia, the same one that just got F-35 seconds from Donald Trump. Third discovery. The world is shouting the exact words, peace and security, right before sudden destruction hits. 1 Thessalonians 5:1-3. You can hear that cry echoing everywhere, at big international meetings, on every political news report, in speeches from leaders. The phrase peace and security keeps coming up like a song nobody can stop singing. The world is cheering. On global stages, in the nightly news, in what presidents and prime ministers say, peace and security rings out loud and clear. People are excited. They're celebrating a new era. They really believe all the trouble in the Middle East is finally settling down. But that's the most dangerous moment, when everybody thinks peace has arrived and they're not hearing the alarm bells at all. This isn't real peace. Both history and the Bible warn that when people are happy, eating and drinking, getting married, talking about safety, that's when destruction shows up out of nowhere. Think about Noah's day. Folks were having fun, building houses, living life, and had no idea the flood was coming. Today, from 2020 to 2025, the same pattern is playing out again, only louder and with brighter pictures. UN statements, press releases, comments about the Abraham Accords and Saudi Arabia, all shouting peace and security. Just think about it. Donald Trump signs the F-35 deal for Saudi Arabia. Western leaders cheer the diplomatic win. Newspapers talk about a new era of Middle East stability. All over the internet and TV, you hear historic peace, new era of stability, over and over, like a chorus, like something quietly telling us what's coming. People are celebrating, but right while the seeds of huge trouble are quietly growing and ready to explode any second. What makes this scary isn't that it's brand new. It's that it's happening exactly the way the Bible said. Scripture warns that in the last days people will be chasing peace, feeling safe, and that very feeling will leave them totally shocked when disaster hits. And right now we're watching it happen, clearer than any prophecy ever written. The Bible in 1 Thessalonians 5:1-3 says it plain. You don't need me to write to you about times and dates, because when people are saying peace and security, destruction will come on them suddenly, like labor pains on a pregnant woman, and they won't escape. And here's what ought to give the whole world chills. Today, while everybody's thrilled about the Abraham Accords, the entire planet is saying the exact Bible words out loud. Peace and security. It's not real peace, not real security, just the feeling of peace right before the disaster falls. You can see it clear as day. America, Britain, Saudi Arabia, Israel, every country is using these same words like they're reading from a script the prophets wrote long ago. And the same folks cheering and praising peace are the loudest, are the ones who will be most surprised when God's anger comes down and every deal, every talk, every plan falls apart in a split second. The Abraham Accords are just the tip of the iceberg, but the cry of peace and security is everywhere. That's the sign that should wake everybody up, even though most people are ignoring it. The Bible says again in Thessalonians 5:1-3, you know very well that the day of the Lord will come like a thief in the night. When people are saying peace and security, destruction will come on them suddenly, like labor pains, and they will not escape. For the first time in human history, the whole world is saying the exact Bible phrase together, the final sign before sudden destruction. This isn't just theory or guesswork anymore. It's happening right in front of us. And the big question is, are we awake enough to hear the warning before it's too late? Fourth discovery, the role of the one who prepares the stage. Donald Trump is accidentally playing exactly the part the Bible set aside for a figure who comes right before the Antichrist. The moment Donald Trump steps back into power in 2025, it's not a normal comeback. One of the first things he does is invite Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman to the White House, signs off on the F-35 deal, and pushes Saudi Arabia closer to the Abraham Accords than ever before. These moves look like plain old politics, but they're really placing the very last pieces on the prophecy chessboard. Trump is not the Antichrist. He hasn't confirmed a 7-year covenant yet, and he's not the final one-world ruler, but he is doing exactly what the Bible calls preparing the way, the guy who gets everything ready for the Antichrist to show up. Every step, every meeting, every arms sale is clearing the path and building the road for the end-time script that's now taking shape. In the Bible, Isaiah 45, verse 1, God says about Cyrus, I will anoint Cyrus. He will do everything I want him to do. He will subdue nations before him and set my people Israel free. Even though he doesn't know me, Look at recent history. Trump signed the Abraham Accords in 2020, a breakthrough nobody saw coming between Israel and the Arab world. Israel gave him their highest honor. Netanyahu called him the greatest friend Israel has ever had in the White House. But that was only the beginning. Now, in 2025, as he fast-tracks Saudi Arabia into the deal, every Bible sign seems to come alive. A leader who doesn't know God is speeding up the events that lead to the very end. Just like Cyrus in Isaiah, Trump is the final stage builder. He's not the Antichrist, but without him, the bigger peace deal wouldn't be finished. The Saudis wouldn't have F-35 seconds, and the Abraham Accords wouldn't have enough weight to give that last big push. The Antichrist is going to step onto a world that's already ready, and Trump is making sure that world is ready. Isaiah 45, verses 1 through 2. I will go before you and level the mountains. I will break down gates of bronze and cut through bars of iron. I will make the crooked places straight so you can move forward. Every single thing Trump does, signing the accords, pulling Saudi Arabia in, the military decisions, is like laying bricks, one by one, building the road that leads straight to the Antichrist. From the outside, it looks like politics, diplomacy, and business. Look closer, and it's the final stage being built. And the main character the Bible warned about will walk onto that stage very soon. And here's the part that gives you chills. The Bible never says the Antichrist will just appear out of nowhere. It says someone will go before him and get everything ready. That someone is working harder than ever, right in front of our eyes. We don't have to guess or look for far-off signs. The stage is set, and mankind is standing at the door the prophets warned about for generations. One more time, Isaiah 45, verses 1 through 3. I will anoint Cyrus. He will do everything I want. He will subdue nations, open the way, break every obstacle, and I will give him the hidden treasures in dark places, so that he may know I am the Lord. The stage is built. The pieces are all in place. The one who prepares the way has finished his job. Now, we're just waiting for the Antichrist to step into the spotlight, and the world will finally see that every prophecy is happening right in front of us. Final discovery. Every single warning sign is flashing red, all at the same time. We're standing right on the edge of the Great Tribulation. Don't you see everything around us falling apart with no sign of slowing down? The mark of the beast technology is slipping into our daily lives. CBDC, Neuralink, Global Digital ID. By 2030, every step we take, every purchase, every piece of data is getting tracked, setting the stage for the total control system the Bible warned about. This isn't science fiction anymore. It's happening right in front of us. Revelation 13, 16:1-7. It forces everyone, small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hand or forehead, so that nobody can buy or sell unless they have the mark. The third temple is ready to go. The Temple Institute has already made all the furniture and tools, trained the priests, and found the perfect red heifer. Israel has more real control over the Temple Mount than ever before. In 2025, a record number of Jewish people went up there, and the hard-right government is stronger than it's been in years. Every detail is lined up perfectly for something that's never happened in human history. Matthew 24, 6-8. You'll hear of wars and rumors of wars. Nation will rise against nation. There'll be famines and earthquakes in various places. All these are just the beginning of birth pains. Moral standards around the world are crashing fast. Wars, hunger, disease, natural disasters, they're all getting worse. A lot of churches are sound asleep and don't even realize what time it really is. Just like Jesus warned the church in Laodicea, they think they're rich and doing fine, but spiritually, they're broke and blind. Revelation 3:17. You say, I'm rich, I've got everything I want, I don't need a thing. And you don't realize that you are wretched and miserable and poor and blind and naked. Every clock is pointing to the same hour. All the signs, technology, politics, religion, disasters, are flashing red together. This isn't maybe someday anymore. It's here. We're standing on the doorstep of the great tribulation the prophets talked about, where every last piece is falling into place perfectly. Revelation 6:12, 1-4. There was a great earthquake. The sun turned black. The moon turned blood red. The stars fell to earth. The sky rolled up like a scroll. There's no more time to waste. No turning back. Everything is speeding up so fast it'll make your head spin. And the whole world is caught in a storm like nothing we've ever seen. Every eye is looking up. Every heart is scared. Because the stage is set and the great tribulation is only one step away. Everything we've just looked at isn't a bunch of separate pieces anymore. Every single detail, from the F-35 deal, to Saudi Arabia's place in the Abraham Accords, to the Gog and Magog coalition, has just snapped into place in the big picture the Bible laid out 2,600 years ago. Now stop for a second and look at the whole thing. Every prophetic clock is pointing to the exact same hour. The Abraham Accords aren't just some diplomatic paperwork anymore. They are the covenant with many that Daniel 9:27 talked about. And now, all it's waiting for is one leader to confirm it for 7 years. On November 18th, 2025, the door swung wide open for Saudi Arabia with that F-35 sale, putting them right in the most important seat in this whole story. From the smaller countries, like the UAE, Bahrain, Morocco, Sudan, all the way up to the guardian of Mecca and Medina, every step is happening exactly the way it was written, and it's almost scary how perfect it fits. The Gog and Magog alliance isn't just a theory either. Russia, Iran, Turkey, Libya, Sudan, every nation Ezekiel 38:2-6 named is showing up right on cue, while Sheba and Dedan, that's Saudi Arabia and the Gulf states, are standing on the sidelines, leaning hard toward Israel, exactly like Ezekiel 38:13 said they would. It's a picture that only folks who've been paying close attention can really see. Bible prophecy is playing out right in front of us. The whole world is now shouting the exact deadly phrase, peace and security. Leaders, newspapers, the United Nations, they keep praising peace and security and historic peace every time they talk about the Abraham Accords or the chance of Saudi Arabia joining in. Just like 1 Thessalonians 5:3 warned, right when everybody is cheering and clapping, sudden destruction is going to hit. Donald Trump, whether he knows it or not, is playing the role of the guy who sets the stage before the Antichrist walks out. Like Cyrus in Isaiah 45, a pagan king God used to get things ready for his people, Trump is putting everything in place, from the Abraham Accords to the F-35 seconds, for the script the Bible already wrote. He's not the Antichrist, but every move he makes is clearing the road for that man to show up. And all the other signs, mark of the beast technology, the third temple materials, already waiting, Israel having stronger control over the Temple Mount than any time since 70 AD. The worldwide moral collapse, wars, pandemics, earthquakes, are all speeding up at the same time. This isn't maybe or coming soon anymore. This is happening right now while we watch. The big wake-up message the Bible is yelling at us isn't for entertainment or some intellectual exercise. The prophecy was written to tell us the time is up. Matthew 24:44 says, "So you also must be ready, because the Son of Man will come at an hour when you do not expect him." What sign are you still waiting for? Are you so tied up with work, money, the house, the kids, sports, or politics that you can't see the world is lining up exactly with the play God wrote before he made the heavens and the earth? Hebrews 3:15 says, "Today, if you hear his voice, do not harden your hearts." The most important message isn't, the Antichrist is almost here. The most important message is, Jesus is standing at the door and knocking. Revelation 3:20. He doesn't want you left behind when the Great Tribulation hits. If you don't belong to him yet, today is the day of salvation. If you do belong to him, today is the day to wake up, live holy, and tell everybody the good news more urgently than ever before. The clock has struck. In just another second, the minute hand is going to jump. Every sign, every prophecy, every number is running perfectly together, and you're standing right in the middle of it. We've just walked through 5 huge discoveries, and each one is another piece in the giant prophecy puzzle the Bible drew out 2,600 years ago. Every detail that's happened lately, from the Abraham Accords to the F-35 deal, from the Gog and Magog alliance coming together to the cry of peace and security, and Donald Trump setting the stage, all of it is lining up exactly with what the Bible said, word for word. We've just walked through 5 huge discoveries, and each one is another piece in the giant prophecy puzzle the Bible drew out 2,600 years ago. Every detail that's happened lately, from the Abraham Accords to the F-35 deal, from the Gog and Magog alliance coming together, to the cry of peace and security, and Donald Trump setting the stage, all of it is lining up exactly with what the Bible said word for word. How much time do you have left to decide which side you're on? There isn't much sand left in the hourglass, and the wake-up call is sounding everywhere. Every single day, every single hour, we're seeing the signs the Bible warned us about. Yet a lot of folks are still too busy, still stubborn, still letting their minds get lost in things that don't matter at all. November 18th, 2025 wasn't just another diplomatic meeting. That was the day mankind accidentally pushed the button that started the final countdown of human history, and the clock is already ticking. Everything we've seen lately, the Abraham Accords, the F-35 seconds, the Gog and Magog coalition, the Mark of the Beast technology, the Third Temple items all ready to go, is moving in one cause to the next effect, exactly the way only the Bible predicted it. Remember, the Bible didn't write prophecy so we could treat it like a hobby or a game. It wrote prophecies to wake us up and get us ready. Matthew 24:44 says, "So you also must be ready, because the Son of Man will come at an hour when you do not expect him." Every second that goes by is another warning that the time to get your heart right and come back to the Lord is running out. You can't count on any organization or any person to keep you safe. Your faith has to be built on God and His Word alone, not blindly trusting political power or peace treaties. The world can promise peace all day long, but real safety is only found in God. Hebrews 3:15 says, "Today, if you hear His voice, do not harden your hearts." Look again at the Abraham Accords, a many-nation covenant between Israel and Arab countries, now opening the door to Saudi Arabia. That's the covenant with many, Daniel 9:27 talked about. It's the final step in the 70 weeks journey. When world leaders confirm that covenant, the prophecy clock starts ticking and the final trouble begins. The Gog and Magog alliance isn't just a theory anymore. Russia, Iran, Turkey, Libya, Sudan, they're lining up exactly the way Ezekiel 38 said. While Sheba and Dedan, Saudi Arabia and the rich Gulf states, stand back and lean toward Israel, right down to the smallest detail. The prophecy is playing out in front of our eyes. No denying it. The whole world is now shouting the deadly phrase, peace and security. 1 Thessalonians 5:3 warned, while people are saying peace and safety, destruction will come on them suddenly, like labor pains on a pregnant woman, and they will not escape. Everybody's cheering about peace, but destruction is standing right behind the door. Donald Trump, whether he knows it or not, is playing the final stage setter. Like Cyrus in Isaiah 45, a pagan king God used to prepare the way for his people. Trump is speeding things along, from the Abraham Accords to the F-35 seconds, getting everything ready for the Antichrist to step in. He's not the Antichrist, but he's preparing the scene exactly the way prophecy said. All the other signs keep growing too. Mark of the Beast technology, every item for the Third Temple already made. Israel in stronger control of the Temple Mount than any time since 70 AD. Morals falling apart, wars, pandemics, and natural disasters, one after another. Everything is moving together at the same time. This is happening now, not some far-off guess. The biggest message the Bible wants you to hear isn't to scare you for no reason. It's to wake you up and get you to choose whose side you're on. Revelation 3:20 says, "Here I am. I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I will come in and eat with that person, and they with me." This is the moment to open the door of your heart, so you're not left behind when the Great Tribulation comes. If you don't belong to the Lord yet, today is the day of salvation. If you already belong to Him, today is the day to live holy. Stay alert and tell others the good news. Your faith has to stand firm, not shaking it with any group or person on this earth. This is the time to put all your trust in God, because He's the only real place of safety. November 18th, 2025, marked the turning point. It's no longer, "It might happen." It's happening. The prophecy clock has started. All the signs, the covenant, the alliance, the fake peace, the stage all set, the disasters, are lining up together, telling us the final Great Tribulation is right at the door. How much time do you have left to choose your side? Every second that passes is a reminder. Every minute that goes by is another chance to turn back to the Lord. This isn't the moment to shrug it off. This is the moment to wake up and act. Please hit like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss the next important prophecy warnings. Together, let's stay awake, spread the gospel, and hold tight to our faith, and not get fooled by any earthly power. November 18th, 2025 wasn't just another diplomatic meeting. That was the day mankind accidentally pushed the button that started the final countdown of human history. And the clock is already ticking.
Look at that. Looks like
On November 15th, 2025, out in the suburbs of Phoenix, Arizona, a video started spreading like wildfire on the X platform and left thousands of people stunned. A pure white light, cold as ice but bright as the morning star, suddenly flared up into the shape of a phoenix right in the middle of the night sky. No sound, no sign of a plane or a flare, just a glowing being hanging there, like an invisible door had cracked open and let something slip through that doesn't belong to this world. Witnesses said that moment felt like someone way up high was staring straight down at mankind. From that weird second on, strange things started happening, one after another. Blue beams swept across the sky over New Mexico, along with 3 weird fireballs seen from a commercial flight. An unknown sea creature that science has never recorded washed up on a Florida beach. 2 blazing rips tore open the Texas sky, and a city in the clouds showed up for people in Colorado to see. Over in Europe, a figure dressed in white was floating in midair above Berlin, and a few days later, the exact same thing happened here in the States. All of it in the same month. All of it is impossible to explain. And the part that'll give you chills: 5 of the 7 signs happened right on American soil, the country people still call one nation under God. Something is moving behind the sky, some kind of preparation, a warning, or maybe a sign that He's a lot closer than we think. If you really want to know what's going on, don't look away. And if you want to understand why millions of believers are convinced the Lord is very near, watch this video all the way to the end, because right now, we're going to go through all 7 signs that are shaking the whole world. First sign, a phoenix wing from heaven, flapping across the night sky over the Mesa suburbs. On the night of November 15th, 2025, something strange lit up the sky over the outskirts of Mesa, Arizona, so beautiful that nobody could look away. Out of nowhere, a pure white light appeared, shining like a pearl, just hanging in the air. Then it spread out into the huge shape of a phoenix wing. The light danced and flashed from that wing, falling like thousands of tiny shooting stars straight down from heaven. Folks who watched the 4K videos later said it felt like the air itself was shaking, like the whole sky was taking a deep breath. This wasn't a storm, wasn't planes, wasn't some laser show. This was something that didn't follow any rules we know. Everybody who saw it just stopped and stared. That phoenix wing wasn't only light. It felt like it carried a message, a sign nobody had ever seen before, showing us a piece of something far greater than we've ever laid eyes on. Looking at that wing from above, you could almost feel something holy right there. It brought to mind Isaiah 60, verses 1 through 3. Arise, shine, for your light has come. That pure, clean light felt like the Son of Righteousness spoken of in Malachi 4, verse 2, shining down on people caught up in everyday life. The wing moved slow and majestic, and it made you wonder, could this be a picture of Jesus coming back, appearing right here on earth? Those little bits of light kept falling like pieces of heaven itself, drifting down onto gardens, rooftops, and quiet streets. Revelation 4, verses 1 and 2, talks about a door opening in heaven, and now it felt like that door was cracking open right in front of us. People in Mesa stood staring up at the night sky, eyes wide, hardly believing what they were seeing. A gate of heaven has cracked open right over American soil. The nation that was once dedicated to the Lord is now the first to be visited by Him. Second sign, strange green fireballs in the sky over New Mexico. On the night of the 12th of November 2025, up in the sky over New Mexico, a regular commercial flight from Los Angeles to Dallas suddenly turned into the scene of something unbelievable. Passengers were filming in a panic when a blinding green light popped up right outside the windows, so bright the phone cameras almost went completely white. Then, not just one, but 3 green fireballs lit up, flying in perfect circles around the plane like guardian angels watching over everyone on board. That light wasn't just weird. It carried a kind of power that made everybody go quiet and stare out the windows. The fireballs kept spinning, flashing in rhythm, like they were guarding some holy secret. It made everyone who saw it wonder, is this a message from heaven or the actual presence of angels? When you look close, it brings to mind the Bible verse, Zechariah 2:5. For I, saith the Lord, will be unto her a wall of fire round about, and will be the glory in the midst of her. It felt like God Himself was putting up an invisible wall of protection between us and whatever darkness is out there. Those 3 green fireballs flying in perfect circles couldn't help but remind people of the Trinity, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, standing guard over mankind, right in the middle of all the chaos. The whole thing only lasted a few minutes, but time seemed to stand still. Every second felt heavy, scary, and holy all at the same time, hard to even put into words. Revelation 8:10-11 talks about burning stars falling, and Daniel 10:13 tells of angels fighting in the sky. Well, now it doesn't feel like just stories anymore. It was right there in front of us, real as day, right over the skies of the strongest country in the world, America, where a lot of folks think everything's just normal. The angels showed up in plain sight. That green light, those 3 guardian fireballs, and the dead silence all around made a sight that was mysterious and mighty all at once. Anyone who saw it knew deep down, this isn't ordinary earthly stuff anymore. Something huge and holy is letting us know it's coming, and it's getting closer every minute. If you're wondering what's next, just keep watching. We've only started seeing these supernatural signs, and there's a lot more mystery still to come. Third sign, a mysterious sea creature washes up on the shore at Cocoa Beach, Florida. On the morning of November 10th, 2025, Cocoa Beach in Florida turned into pure chaos when a gigantic creature floated right onto the sand. It was over 40 feet long, with skin smooth like a whale's, but its jaws were sharp like an alligator's, fins sticking out on both sides like a dragon's, and huge eyes wide open that seemed to stare straight into your soul. The first folks who saw it said a cold shiver ran down their spine, like they were looking at some ancient secret that had just crawled up from the bottom of the ocean. There was no warning, no heads up from the ocean experts, nothing. It just showed up out of nowhere. Scientists were totally stumped at first, but something about its eyes and the way it looked made everybody freeze, like they were face to face with a holy messenger. People crowded around, taking videos and pictures, yet nobody could explain what they were seeing. The sight of this